pure hell. That's how Marines describe the fight against the Japanese on the island of Iwo Jima. 1 out of every 3 U.S. soldiers were either wounded or killed. The iconic image from their battle, a United States flag raised more than 500 feet high on Mount Suribachi.
Oh, the ugliest place I ever saw in my life.
For most, one visit is enough. But Don Whipple, a veteran from Arvada, would take on the island of Iwo 3 times. He was 17 when he joined the Marines during World War II. As part of the 5th Marine Division, his job was to capture this 8-square-mile island in the South Pacific, the perfect place for an airstrip, so U.S. planes could bomb Tokyo just 4 hours away.
It looked like a monster raising up out of the sea.
A monster made of volcanic rock, reeking of sulfur. Ships and planes bombed it for weeks before the Marines arrived to try to unearth the 20,000 Japanese fighters hidden in caves.
And then we went up on the deck and we could watch them, the battleships just shelling it. And to see a battleship go off is unbelievable because it looks like just a complete atomic bomb blast that just took off. There's flame everywhere.
It was February 19, 1945, when Don and his fellow Marines stormed the beach.
And you could hear the machine guns hitting on the front of that boat. It's a flat ramp. You could hear it go bing, 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 bing.
The boat to the right of his was hit, knocked up out of the water.
People's arms and legs and rifles and helmets and everything else just flying everywhere.
They were immediately pinned down by enemy fire. And the black ash on the beach was like quicksand.
You take one step, then you sink into your knees and slide back about 3. So there we were trying to pull our ways up. We had 100 pounds weight on our back.
Pulling a cart with radio and telephone equipment, Don Whipple had only been on the beach for about 15 minutes.
And just then a mortar went off about 8 feet in front of me. And the blast of that is tremendous.
Red-hot, spinning shrapnel, razor-sharp, inflicted horrific and often fatal wounds. Whipple saw a Marine next to him fall.
He was trying to get himself together, and he got up and he started running again, and his intestines just all fell out, and he slipped on one of his intestines and fell down again and was trying to stuff him back in.
Whipple was hit in the leg, and he didn't know it.
And I started to get up, and Captain Austin said, and I fell down, and Captain Austin said, "Whip, you've been hit."
Hours later, he was carried to a hospital boat. That night, he listened to the battle raging on, wondering how anyone could survive. His ship was leaving for a hospital in Guam the next day, but Don Whipple would not be on it.
You don't fight for the glory of the flag when you're on that island. You're fighting for the guy next to you, the guy that's been a buddy to you like nobody you've ever had before.
He wasn't about to leave his buddies behind. He broke the rules, hitched a ride on a smaller boat back to the island, the same spot he landed the first time, 2 days before. Dragging his hurt leg behind, he met up with his artillery unit and continued the fight. As a forward observer, he crouched in a hole in the sand, working on a switchboard to communicate with other combat teams.
Went 55 hours without any sleep. That's a long time.
On day 4, February 23, 1945, Whipple watched from below as a group of Marines raised a flag at the highest peak, sending a morale-boosting shockwave across the island and across America.
And when that flag went up, all pandemonium all over the island. You could hear guys hollering and screaming and shooting off their rifles in the air.
He says that flag was a great source of comfort.
Every morning when the sun would come up, why, you'd look out of your foxhole and look up there to see if the flag was still flying.
Unfortunately, the war was far from over, and the fiercest battles on Iwo were still to come. Those memories haunt Don Whipple to this day.
When you got on into the island just a little ways, you smelled dead flesh and sulfur and all that mixed together, those smells, they're real to me today.
Finally, 36 days after the invasion, with more than 18,000 Japanese dead and more than 6,000 Marines killed, Don Whipple walked off that island with no regrets.
No, I was never regretted I went back. Never once did I regret I went back.
But his time spent in battle has taken a toll. He visits the Veterans Affairs Hospital every month to meet with a psychologist. He's been diagnosed with delayed post-traumatic stress disorder.
And I used to be real enthusiastic and excited, and I just am kind of still kind of zombie-like.
An emotional trip back to the island last year has helped him to cope with the depression. It was his third landing on Iwo Jima.
I really wanted to go because I was curious enough to say, I wonder what that place is like now and how I would be able to just look around and not have somebody shooting at you when you're looking around.
He even collected some of that coarse volcanic sand in a jar. Now, 85 years old, he's taken all his life experiences and now helps counsel young vets from Iraq and Afghanistan.
And I have a great platform to do that because I'm a combat veteran. I was in a very famous battle and that they're all aware of, and they know I have an understanding of what they've gone through.
Whenever he sees an image of that famous flag raising, it reminds him how proud he is to have been a part of the Battle of Iwo Jima.
I'm so grateful for have been part of that fraternity of guys. We're just the greatest men I've ever met or known or been a part of. I'm honored. I feel I'm really honored to have been there.